Welcome to the show. We are back on this Monday and we are continuing down the Rupert Lowe Grape Report from the UK. And we are picking it up on page 145 in my notes is where we left off on nationalism and something else. I kind of briefly looked at it. But before we dive in, I want to thank everybody for their support. Please continue to like and share and subscribe, and let's get those numbers up, guys. I appreciate it. It's absolutely free to hit that subscribe button or hit that like button. That's all you got to do. That's all you've got to do. Now, before we get started, we're going to go over a couple things. It's all a part about what we're talking about and discussing. This is Rothman, and this guy, he posts on X, but look who's following him, Elon Musk. Elon Musk has like over 200 million or something followers on X. It's insane, right? But the ratio of who Elon Musk follows is not, he doesn't follow everybody back who follows him. All right. So this guy, he's that good that Elon Musk is going to follow him, which is pretty amazing, by the way. Let's see. He's a rugged individualism, voluntarism, and proprietarism. But anyway, I found this the other day. I think it was Saturday. I was working on show prep, and then I get this flash up on the screen. And if you haven't seen, I did a video yesterday where I got a warning. They took down one of my videos. I had to mute a sentence, a few, I don't know if it was like 30 seconds or so out of my video because it was considered hate speech when I was referring to the grape gangs. That they said it was hate speech, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. But I had this in that day's show prep, but we're going to get back into it today. Just keep praying that the Lord will bless this channel, bless me, bless you, bless the viewers, bless America. And I certainly hope everybody's praying for our leaders in this country as well. But I came across this and I thought, wow, this was very, very interesting. In the academic world, diversity means black leftists, white leftists, female leftists, Hispanic leftists. Demographic diversity conceals ideology conformity. And Thomas Sowell said that, and we all love Thomas Sowell. And yes, he is black. Peter Thayer made the same diagnosis in 1996. He watched universities celebrate racial and gender diversity while systematically stomping out diversity of thought. Now, I always tell you guys, use your own critical thinking, and I think this is something that we've lost touch of in America because the powers that be, these leftists from these academic worlds of diversity here, they don't want you to think. They don't want you to have critical thinking. They truly don't. And I think every day we see that to be true. His point was simple. A campus full of people who looked different but think alike is not diversity. It's just ideological monopoly wearing a costume. Saul and Thiel were describing the same phenomena from different angles. Multiculturalism and diversity were never the end goal. Now this is where this really brought me into this writing. They were the instrument. The diversity, the end goal, were describing the same phenomenon with different angles. Multiculturalism and diversity were never, it was never the end goal. So you think of, Why have we been perpetrated with this all of these years with diversity, and we've been told that diversity is our strength? You're seeing in all of these Western nations across the world that all at the same time, all of their borders were dropped, and all of these illegals, migrants, whatever you want to call them, from these third worlds just poured in by the millions, which a country can't sustain it, and also they're not going to be able to assimilate. Sometimes it takes a generation to assimilate, sometimes it don't. Sometimes people come over and they can kiss America and thank God that they're here, and they're going to pledge allegiance to America, obviously pledge allegiance to God first, but they appreciate and respect that they're here. But when you let millions come in, it's not going to be that way. There's too many cultural differences. There's religious differences, everything, education. All of these things are a factor for people to assimilate, and it's just not going to happen. They were the instrument. The real objective has always been the capture of institutions, universities, corporations, government, culture, and the enforcement of one narrow world view. And have we not been seeing this systematically? What I think what fascinates me and is terrifying and interesting all at the same time is, again, all of these kinds of things of diversity was happening in all these different parts of the world. It's like, whoa, this was coordinated. This was a coordinated effort for Canada, America, Germany, France, Great Britain, all of the UK, United Kingdom, all the European areas, all of these countries simultaneously. It's like they all got a memo, a tweet, an email to say, hey, okay, it's go zone. It's go time. It's go time. It's go time. Let the floodgates open, and they all just poured in America, in Canada, Great Britain. London has fallen. London's being run by a Muslim. His last name is Khan. Yeah, the irony there. But the end game wasn't diversity. It was to have this one narrow worldwide viewpoint. And then why would you want to have one worldwide viewpoint? And the writer goes on to say, demographic checkboxes were the most effective tool available to achieve that. Once the institutions were staffed and policed by who already agreed on the fundamentals, dissent became hate, disagreement became harm, and the old liberal commitment to open inquiry quickly died. All the check boxes. You're a racist, sexist, fascist, bigot, homophobe, Islamophobe if you have a differing opinion. It was all designed in the makeup of the takeover, or systematically continue to tell you this. It's insane, right? The diversity bureaucracy eventually succeeded in what it was actually designed to do. So the next time some academics tell you how important diversity is, ask how many Republicans there are in their sociology department. Thomas Sowell. Yeah. How many of them are in there? And we all know that there's been all of these young people, especially here in America, has gone to university, and they took these stupid studies, and now they get out of college and they can't find a job. Yeah, it's disgusting. But I thought was interesting the narrow-minded viewpoint. So I think the end goal as well, guys, is to enforce this, to everyone have a narrow-minded world view, is I believe to control. To control. Because the indigenous Americans, indigenous Great Britain, all the European unions, the indigenous people that are there are not easily controlled, but apparently over steady a period of time. And then because they've been doing this in the UK and in America steadily over decades, letting illegals in. Now then, during a Biden administration, boom, the floodgates open, and guess what? The floodgates open in all these other countries. You had millions upon millions, and then you had problem upon problem, but you have been indoctrinated the whole time. Like they're indoctrinating you to accept this. But there is some pushback. There has been pushback. This is a really good point. It's like we were sold that diversity was about introducing new perspectives and new life experiences. What? I don't need a perspective on the life experiences. Maybe I shouldn't say it like this, but I mean, when we see, even as a kid, seeing documentaries on, remember the National Geographic, Worldwide, whatever, what was his name? Jacques Cousteau. Well, he was out in the ocean and stuff, but we would watch these videos of tribes or in the jungles and forests, distant lands, as when I was a child, and I was like, wow, man, look at these people. It's like, it just reminded me of Indians, because I learned about the cowboys and Indians and stuff like that as a kid. It never really dawned on me like how indigenous these people were out there that have no clue about first world civilization. They're just living each day, right? And then some of these countries, we just bring these people over here. Turns out it was all about introducing singular perspective narrations. Leftism. It's incredible. It's incredible. But getting back to the new life experiences, how are you going to get that? I mean, I guess you could if you walk into a Mexican restaurant or an Asian restaurant or something that's ethnic, it's kind of cool. But when you're overrun and bombarded all at the same time, where these people aren't going to assimilate, and probably most of them aren't educated, I'm just being realistic here. I mean, how is a society supposed to deal with it? Where you can't, where they become their own enclaves, they just bring, they put them all in one area, and guess what happens? They don't become Americans. They just become another part of whatever country they're from. Another little Somalia, for instance. We'll just use that as an example. This is what happens. They're not assimilating. They're not learning how to speak English, and they're still, and a lot of them on the welfare dime. This guy says, and what is leftist but the embodiment of the spirit of the Antichrist? Wow. Western intellectuals have used body figure diversity to achieve ideological purification, and they are quite successful so far. A campus full of people who look different but think alike is not diverse. It's just ideological monopoly wearing a costume, and he says, spot on. Caroline Levitt posted the other day, Pope Leo says Islam is a religion of peace that Christians can learn a great deal from. That is why I decided to create a dedicated prayer room for our Muslim brothers and sisters right here in the Vatican City. Do you agree Pope Leo is a disgrace to Christians? Yes. For the Pope to be so disingenuous to say that Islam is a religion of peace, and he knows this not to be true. I'm going to grant him that he's way more educated than me, baby. That he knows the Quran, he knows the Hadiths, he knows what these people teach. Now, if you looked back at the past shows that we have covered, guess what? Muhammad married a 6-year-old. He consummates the marriage when she's 9. He knows this. He knows that Pakistan and other parts of the world where there's a predominant Islam practice, this is what they do. That it's okay for them to have child marriages. All right, I'm going to show a clip from a prostate prophet. He was live last night with David Wood, and I want you to check this out.
Somebody could have told them that this is probably a bad idea. And then they just continued.
Well, I guess let me bring it up. It's like, who caused the Scotland attack on Muslims? So you know that there was an attack. He's going to show the clip. But there was an attack the other day. This guy, wielding a knife, goes and stabs a couple of Muslims, and what he's screaming, he's had enough of the Muslims raping and murdering the children, and the government's not doing nothing about it. So they're going over a lot of this, but they're going to bring up a guy that I think you're going to be interested in. Here we go.
Oh no, but you don't want, okay, our people don't want more Muslims here. Okay, don't worry, we will just integrate the ones that are here. This will work out. And by the way, while we're at it, we as a developed, wonderful country, we should invite more of them over and also have them integrate and work here because we need more workers. Oh, by the way, there are lots of Muslims being persecuted in these other countries and they're seeking refuge. Let's also accept all these refugees over here. But only this many, not more. Oh, wait a minute. A lot more of them came in illegally. We didn't really want that. However, we are a very, very advanced civilized society and we can't just deport these people. So we have to somehow integrate those people too. Gosh.
They can't be integrated.
Instead of respecting British culture, social norms, or our Judeo-Christian ethics and its indigenous people, 250,000 British children have had their lives ruined by the most disgusting abuse, violation, degradation, and torture by Muslim rape gangs. Where is your outrage there? Plus arrogant and inappropriate demands for special treatment, beheadings, terrorist attacks by Muslims. If there is a target on the back of Muslims, as you claim, then frankly, Muslims are entirely responsible for putting it there. Based.
This is where we're coming up now.
Anyway, and here comes the most disgusting person.
This is the main. I was having a hard time getting it completely lined up, but I liked what he was saying there, and I did watch all of this last night. But check out what Hassan posted on X. He says in AP, this is AP, and this is David Wood. He's like, this is the most disgusting. Check this out.
In international media, along comes Mehdi Hassan. He responds to this post here, which once again shows the very same incident, which we shall watch again. Breaking, a 36-year-old white Scottish man is being investigated by counter-terrorism police after 5 people were stabbed in Edinburgh. He said after his arrest, "I'm protecting the country from these effing Muslim bastards raping our young daughters."
Focus, protecting the country from these fucking little bastards raping our young daughters, raping our kids. Enough is enough. I have had enough.
In response to this, the wonderful, most reliable journalist Mehdi Hassan said the following. The same week that Rupert Lowe put out his bullshit rape gang report. I repeat, the same week that Rupert Lowe put out his bullshit rape gang report.
It's insane. It's insane. And he posted this 2 days ago on June 20th. So I went to Mehdi Hassan's page just to check it out. And I didn't get to the comment section. It had 2 million views. It had 2 million views on this.
falsely claiming Muslims raped 250,000 white girls. And the same week Elon Musk amplified it on here, this happens. Is anyone surprised? They're inciting violence against Muslims and emboldening extremists. He calls...
Yeah, but the thing is instead of... What was the guy saying when the police had him on the ground? He had a reason. Now, I'm not condoning his reason, but there's a frustration, and I guess if you have some people who can't always put themselves in check. Now, I didn't see his family coming out and supporting him. No, they're probably like, oh my God. Yeah, he's angry. He's angry that the government, the police, all the internal institutions are not doing nothing about it. So he goes off on a tantrum, but his family, you didn't see them coming out and supporting them. But you do see families of these Islamists come out. They come out and support them.
This rape gang report a bullshit rape gang report. This bastard here. He calls it a bullshit rape gang report.
He probably didn't read it.
No, you can have your problems with the estimates of victims, with 250,000 girls being raped and so on and so forth. The report itself says that the 250,000 is an estimate.
It's an estimate.
It might be more, it might be less, we don't know. The report, however, is full with actual victims.
Yes.
That are named, who have told their stories, with verified stories. It is full of actual data, full of information that Muslims have been running rape gangs in Britain, that they have been raping native British girls and women in Britain.
But you have Media Hassan saying it's all BS. I'm going to put the link to this in the description so y'all can go watch it. And what I normally do, if I come in late or I'll let it go a little longer, I'll pick the speed back up on it. So, because it's a 2.5 hour video, he's already got 17,000 views on it. So for me to get through content, I have to speed it up a bit. And I would recommend you do that. Now, I'm going to put this link in the description so you could go check out Apostate Prophet. Like and subscribe to his channel. And also go to Apologetic Roadshow, which this is David Wood's channel, Apologetic Roadshow. Please go and support him as well. They're doing the Lord's work. We do need to get to that report, guys. So we just watched Apostate Prophet and David Wood talk about this the same week that Rupert Report put out his BS Grape Gang. And you got Hassan Piker as well. I know AsmondgoldTV, which I just watched some of it this morning, he was responding to Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker is just kind of shoving this to the side and making a big deal about, oh, you did this, so you're inciting this behavior. But what is the guy saying? Why did he do this? Instead of addressing what is the issue, why are people upset? Why is this guy upset? Now, again, I'm not condoning how the guy is trying to get his point across. But why is he doing it? Because nobody's doing nothing, and these people are on the ground there. They know more than what we do. And just like Apostate Prophet was saying, he's like, the report is very extensive. You have legitimate cases, and they also looked back into police reports. What has been said? What has been done? Guys, this got 2 million views, and they're not all on on Hassan's side, Medea Hassan. Now, it's not Hassan Piker. Like, the names are backwards. Yeah, there you go. Look, Man Van Swirl, y'all know I really like Matt. Matt says, yeah. So Muslim migrants gang raped 250,000 white women in the UK. But actually, what I'm really worried about is the backlash against Muslims. Yeah, that's what Medea Hassan, he's more worried about the backlash against Muslims than 250,000 of UK white girls been raped. Wow. So you would think this guy, what, it was like 5 people, I think 5 people he injured. But we're talking 250,000. Not condoning what he did. Don't misunderstand me, YouTube. Y'all watched my video yesterday. It's like, wow. I'm being censored in my own country. But 250,000, we're not worried about that. He's not even going to bring up, why is this guy so angry? Oh no, the report is BS. The report's BS. And then he says, go F yourself, right? And then what does Medea Hassan say? He says, you first. So this person, Grox, asked Grox, are the grape gangs in the UK primarily Muslim? Grox says yes. Officially, inquiries into the major UK grooming gang scandals, Rotham J Report 2014. This goes way back, guys. This isn't something that just happened. This has been happening for decades. Rockdale, Telford, Huddersfield, etc. found the perpetrators were overwhelmingly British Pakistani Muslim men. They systematically groomed and raped thousands of mostly white working class girls. Authorities repeatedly failed to act due to fears of racism accusations. National data remains patchy because ethnicity is often under-recorded. But the documented large-scale cases show this clear pattern. The 250K victim estimate is extra population and disputed. Extra population has been disputed. I'll get it together. Now, this is another thing that a prostate prophet and David brought up. This is Medea Hassan. And this person says, is this you? Hopefully you get deported to your crap hole country. He says, make American planes crash again. Now, I believe he took this post down. So, Hassan is a part of this, whatever this company or organization is, Zeto. Medea Hassan's a part of it. But apparently he took this post down, but he did post this. And a prostate prophet goes on to explain why he posted this, which there's no reason to post this. There's no reason to post make American planes crash again. Why would he say that? Why were we allowing him in our country? Have y'all seen him before? Like, he's probably a good fixture on MSNBC. I think he did have a show either on CNN or one of those. But that's him. That's him. Y'all recognize him? He had also made another post. It's not on this thread. This thread is just all the people who are... It looks like he's just got brutalized. Oh my God, here's David. This is what I wanted to show y'all too. So David retweets on Hassan's post. He says, Muslim terrorists scream Allah Akbar while slaughtering unbelievers. Muslims. Don't blame Islam. Don't blame the ideology. Don't blame anyone but the particular man. But that particular man. Now, could we just turn this back around to say that the Scottish guy who just went on a rampage, that they're going to blame everybody for being discriminating against Muslims because of one guy? The hypocrisy. Scottish man stabs 5 Muslims. Blame everyone who has ever criticized Islam and anyone who reported the grooming gang and rape of tens of thousands of young girls. Got to give that man a like on that. Wow. What a great tweet. What a great tweet. Because he's absolutely right. This is what they're doing. This is the signaling. This is from the page that we read right at the beginning of the show. The ideology. How it's done by the liberals, by the left, to indoctrinate you to say that, oh, don't blame Islam, don't blame the ideology, don't blame anyone but that particular man. So this is what they want you to do when some crazy person's shouting Allah Akbar and does something heinous. Well, just blame that one person. But a Scottish man does this and actually says, I'm tired of nobody doing nothing about it. I've had enough. Muslims, blame everyone who has ever criticized Muslims and anyone who reported the grooming and rape of tens of thousands of British girls. Blame all them. Blame Elon Musk. Blame Rupert Lowe. Blame all of them. But don't blame the perpetrators. Don't blame what they have in all of their work, how they have centralized it with statistics, with data, with all of the statements of the victims, conclude that it is Pakistani Muslim men who has perpetrated this on young white adolescent British girls. This person, Bernard Vaughan, says anyone who believes these people do not have racial hatred towards you, just remember this man calls the rape of 250,000 white girls by his people BS. Yeah, that's crazy. This guy. Shame on you calling for the grape report fake. Now, this guy has gotten hammered from what he posted on X. And now, I think we have read this in another post. Tyler says, before they grape me, they would chant, and I'm not going to read this retardedness right here, but translation, in the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Wow. So you're saying he's attacking Muslims because of Lowe and Musk. That's the reason in your opinion. In your opinion, Mademi, what drives Pakistani Muslim men to target and abuse white British girls in vast numbers? Wow. Boom. Mic drop. Mic drop. Mic drop. I wanted to bring that to y'all's attention. The hypocrisy knows no bounds, and I want you to know who this guy is, too. By the way, there was another post. I didn't bring it up, and I think Apostate Prophet and David do in last night's show, where Hassan says, he says, because somebody accused him of supporting grapers. And he says, I've never done that. I have never in my life done that. But then they pull up that he's pro-Palestine. He's pro-Hamas. He's pro-Hezbollah. He's pro all of this stuff. Y'all know he practices Islam. This is who he is. This is what he does. So he's going to have to try to protect his fellow comrades by denouncing and playing that game of culturalism, diversity, and that this is what's good for us. And deflect and dodge and parry. I probably should find the video, which I don't have to find it. I know it's in my history of AsmondgoldTV, which I watched it this morning with my coffee. He is going over, Hassan had did a live stream, basically doing what this guy's doing, right? But he's attacking Osmond Gold for what? Supporting the victims. I will put that link in the description. I'm going to make myself a note. I'm going to have, we'll put in Apostate Prophets, and then we'll also get the link into Osmond Gold to have that in the description. Osmond Gold TV of his Hassan Piker coverage, because it was really good. It truly was, and I'm recommending you watch it. All right, here we go. So, YouTube. I am reading the National Enquiry section of the Grape Gang report, and I am reading it. I am reading this report. YouTube. I'm reading this to the bots or whoever is monitoring my little channel's content that you accuse me of hate speech. You accuse me of hate speech. Okay, so guys, we're on page 145. Here we go. We're 35 minutes deep into this video, which I wanted to cover some of that other stuff. I still have other things to cover, things that Elon Musk has posted, Brendan Gill has posted, Benny. Well, let's see. What did Benny Johnson say? Okay, so yeah, I wanted to tell you guys too. Starmer did resign. Who was it? What do we have here? Oh, this guy King. He says Trump, isolated from every serious European leader, publicly announces the UK Prime Minister's resignation before Starmer himself has even spoken. Now, this was posted like yesterday or the day before, right? Disgraceful, arrogant, pathetic. Britain decides its own fate. Not some bitter has-been tweeting from Florida. You are a national embarrassment to America and a threat to the allied democracy. Stay in your lane, useless man. These people are bitter much. And here's Trump had posted on Real Donald Trump. Keir Starmer will resign as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He failed badly on two very important subjects, immigration and energy, open North Sea oil. I wish him well, President Donald J. Trump. Now, this was posted yesterday. And guess what happens today, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what happens today? Let's see. Starmer has officially resigned as British Prime Minister. Here's a quick breakdown of what he accomplished over the past 2 years. He allowed an Islamic third world invasion of the UK and the destruction of Western civilization. I think you could say this about a Biden administration as well. Increased government censorship. A Biden administration was censoring us. You couldn't talk about the shot. You couldn't talk about anything. Made it illegal to criticize the government online. Again, a Biden administration were doing the same things. Boy, you could just find parallels in all of this all day long. That they censored everybody's speech. Now you have... Guys, I've seen the last 2 days that they've got dude dead to rights almost. Fauci under investigation. Stop you from talking about it. Stopped doctors. Some doctors lost their jobs because they stood up. There's like, okay, well, I can't do this out of good faith. That they're like, no. And then they lose. One guy, I think he's going and suing them. He might have won. I saw some. It might be in the stack of stuff. I was reading it yesterday, where this one doctor lost his job because they said you have to stop because he was getting these other documentations of how quickly they were pushing out these vaccines and the problems that these vaccines were causing. So made it illegal to criticize the government online, and that's what was happening here as well. Because what was the government doing? The government was pushing to get these people immunized as quick as possible. Restrict religious freedoms for Christians. And what did we see? What happened with the lawfare of the DOJ of the Biden administration? It was attack on Christians. Christian families would go to schools and protest that they don't want transgender people manipulating and dancing or reading to their children, to their little kindergartners. They were even wanting to go to preschool preschool children. It's insane, right? So this was happening here as well. Obstructionize white people as racists and bigots. Ostracize white people as racists and bigots. We've been that's been happening here. Contributed to a large scale of government cover up of Pakistani grape gangs. Wow. And the list goes on and on and on. He's leaving his party just as he found it politically, financially, and morally bankrupt. Goodbye, Keir. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And he got choked up, guys. He started crying when he mentions his wife, but he doesn't mention all the hundreds of thousands of young girls who were brutally raped every day, transported to some other countries, or transported all over the UK, and some were even murdered. And wow. Here we go. The Labour government's so-called independent inquiry into the grooming gangs, announced in December 2025 and chaired by Baroness Anna Longfield, is a masterclass in institutional invasion. Its draft terms of reference, finalized in March 2026, deliberately confined the scope to group-based child sexual exploitation and abuse in a handful of relevant local areas. The inquiry is explicitly time-limited, targeted and proportionate, and framed as an exercise in examining failures in practice and obstruction by statutory services. There is no mandate to examine the national scale of the problem, the overwhelming ethnic and religious profile of the perpetrators, the honor and the shame-based culture drivers, or the role of political correctness or electoral criticism is allowing the abuse to flourish for decades. Victims and survivors are notably placed at the center, yet the terms and references of carefully avoid the very question that the public and the survivors have demanded for answers for decades. Yep. Bye, Starmer. You just ignored this. This is not inquiry designed to deliver truth or justice. It is a containment exercise by narrowing the focus to local operational failures and excluding any systematic analysis of the demographic, culture, or religious patterns that witnesses have repeatedly described. The government has ensured that the most uncomfortable truths, not least those that implicate Labor's own chronic dependence on certain voting blocks, will never be confronted. The very government that once resisted a nationally inquiry has now given us one with terms so tightly drafted that it cannot possibly disrupt the political consensus that enabled the grape gangs. None of these will expose what really happened. It is structured precisely so that it cannot. I can't even talk. And what does Rupert Post say? Starmer resigns, has been a truly disgraceful prime minister. I do not believe him to be a good man or a patriot. He has deliberately and rapidly accelerated the destruction of Britain and our home. You can probably put that at the feet of Obama and Biden, of what they've done to this country. Looks like the wind's picking up outside, guys. I think a storm's coming in. History will not remember him kindly, nor should it. I sat in Parliament, and this is the part that I want to read because it's kind of goes with what we just read. I sat in Parliament looking him in the eye, listening to him attempting to justify his decisions to block a national inquiry into the mass rape of young British girls. He blocked it. Kind of reminds me of the Democrats here who keep blocking Trump from wanting to deport these people. Like, they just keep blocking and blocking. I will never forgive him for that. And so much else. Well, he needs to forgive him, but I understand his anger. What comes next? He says, I don't know. Whatever that is, Restore Britain will be ready to offer the British people a democratic route out, a better way, the only way. But Starmer is gone, and that is a good thing, and enjoy it. And he got 1 million views for that. Wow. None of this will expose what really happened. It is structured precisely so that it cannot. While the core grooming gangs were overwhelmingly Pakistani Muslim networks operating with political protection, the Labour Party's complicity went far beyond mere negligence. In multiple documented cases, both sitting and former Labour councils and figures were themselves perpetrators of child sexual abuse. Either that or they directly shielded abusers within the grooming gang ecosystem. This was not coincidence. It was the inevitability of coincidence of a party that treated Pakistani Muslim communities as precious vote banks, even while its own members were raping children or tipping off predators. Oh, they're on to you, guys. They're on to you. So you need to, chill for a minute or go over to here or go somewhere else. Direct perpetrators within Labour ranks. YouTube, I am reading the Rupert gang rape report. Lord Nazar Ahmad, former Labour council in Rotherham and Labour peer, was convicted in 2022 of multiple child X offenses, including rape of a 13-year-old girl, jailed for 5.5 years. Ahmed has been a Labour councillor since 1990. What is happening? Now, they just can't put this on this report unless it was factual, guys. Just throwing that out there. It was elevated to the prestige by Blair. Survivors described him as part of the same networks that enabled Rotherham's grooming gangs. A survivor publicly demanded that he be stripped of his privilege and truly shamed. Yeah, where's public shaming? The former Labour council, Leon Velleman, pled guilty to S offenses against a child after approaching a 13-year-old and asking if she was a virgin. The Labour council, Carol Clark, faced formal complaints that allegedly warning her pedo son of his impeding arrest in a grooming-related investigation, while simultaneously voting on grooming gang matters. Wow. Wow. Can we say conflict of interest, ladies and gentlemen? Wow, she should have recused herself. The former Labour MP Irene Chaplin was arrested for grooming a 15-year-old child in 2025. These were not isolated bad apples. They were Labour members operating in the very councils, Rotherham, Child, Rockdale, Alderman, and so on, where grooming gangs thrived under political cover. They were being protected because they are a special class. They're a special voting class to keep these people in power. What is it for a man to gain the whole world, but lose his soul? Enablers in position of power beyond direct offending, senior Labour figures either failed to crack down on grape gangs or obstructed efforts to do so. Do I have this big enough for you guys to read? I'm going to try to make sure I have it in the window. I know in one of my videos, I go through to make sure there's no audio problems, because sometimes there is. And sometimes whole videos are ruined. Yeah, it's insane. But I noticed I wasn't keeping it up in the picture because I was reading it on the other screen. So I'm going to try to make sure I don't have that happen again. Let's see. Sharon Wright, Labour councillor, Rotherham Children's Services, led 2005 to 2010. Remained in post despite knowing about the scale of the abuse. Resigned only after the J report exposed his department. Wow. So you just saw bro Hassan come out and said this whole report's BS. This person resigned. This is documentation. These people are involved. in the highest forms of government that knew all about this back in 2005 to 2010. Let's see. Resigned after the J report exposed his department's catastrophic failure. Roger Stone, Labor Council leader. Good God, it's just on and on and on. Rotham, 2003 to 2014, presided over local governments during the cover-up documented in the J report. Multiple Rotherham labor councillors interfered in police investigations, tipped off perpetrators, and dismissed victims as making lifestyle choices. Wow. To protect community relations and votes. So you guys remember when we read like 3 of the victims. Now I am going to get to a whole show that's going to be nothing but the victim statements. We're still going to do that. We're still going to go through all of this. I'm not going to get deterred. God's willing. I'm not going to get deterred. I'm not going to let YouTube or anybody else bring me down, make me feel like I should not do this. But what were they talking about? Are those victims? Tipped off perpetrators or dismissed victims as making lifestyle choices to protect community relations, because you had 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds being picked up outside schools, being picked up outside these foster care facilities. I don't even know what they call them over there, but some kind of group home, right? Police were called in some of these situations, parents, but what did the police say? Oh, well, she's just a prostitute. She consented. Remember Chloe? Chloe said, she says, I didn't even know what it meant. She didn't know what it meant. But the police just pulled it off that way and said that. It's so disgusting. It's beyond comprehension. And keep in mind, remember, Hussein says this is all BS. I'm going to keep bringing that guy up. Yes, I am. While Sir Starmer was the director of public prosecutions, it has been reported that 13,000 suspected grape gang members and pedos were let off with warning letters. So he was a prosecutor. Director of public prosecutor. He knew about this. He's known about this forever and a day. Sent them warning letters. You need to stop that, or else. As stated earlier, the mayor of London, Saki Khan, repeatedly insisted there were no grooming gangs operating in the city. Now, we did find out. What did we find out? We found out that it's the epicenter. But no, we don't want to bring any attention to Islam and their teachings. Wow. We don't want to bring any attention to Islam and its teachings. I want to share this one little clip. Now, Osmond Gold read the whole entire report. It's almost 7 hours long. Osmond Gold was shocked to find out how Muslims treat women. The Prophet Muhammad stated that women are deficient in both religion and intelligence related to men. Sharia obliges a wife to have sexual intercourse with her husband whenever he desires. If she refuses, Muhammad said the angels will curse her until morning. Now, we're going to just listen to I really want you to pay attention to his face expressions. Now, I as well, when I've been learning about this for the past couple of years, I didn't know nothing about Aisha. I didn't know nothing about the Quran. But here you go. This is a segment of, now we're not going to watch the whole 4 minutes of it, just a few seconds in the beginning here. But again, he did the whole entire thing. You can check him out on AsmondgoldTV on YouTube, and the whole entire 7 hours is on there. But this is just a little clip, and I want you to check out his reaction.
Surah 228 declares that men that hold a rank above women, the Prophet Muhammad stated that women are deficient in both religion and intelligence relative to men, and in the same hadith he noted that women form a majority of those in hell. So all the women are in hell. If a woman or a dog passes in front of a praying man, the prayer is invalidated. What? If a woman or a...
He's like, what?
Man passes in front of a woman or a dog, passes in front of a praying man, the prayer is invalidated. There's a reason why mosques position men with their back. What? So all the women are in hell. If a woman or a dog passes in front of a praying man, the prayer is invalidated. What?
Exactly. What? And this is in their hadiths. This is in their Quran. This is what they truly believe. This is, it's 7 hours, 6 hours and 52 minutes. It was done 3 days ago, and it has 1 million views. 1 million views. Thank God. Get the word out. Get the word out. And I was bringing up Fauci, too, right? About the COVID and all that garbage. Here we go. Y'all remember Khan in the report? We've read that section. Let me get things in place here. Let's go. Gotta get my spot, guys. Y'all know how I roll. My technical skills are just impeccable. He described evidence from whistleblowers as politically motivated. He told the London Assembly that child sexual exploitation in the capital is far more complex matter and does not fit the grooming style patterns on display across deprived northern towns. These statements had made despite the fact that the Metropolitan Police had in its possession reports of young girls being plied with alcohol, drugs, then raped by groups of men in hotels and other locations across London. A Daily Express investigation revealed that Khan had direct access to HM and spectatorial of Castleberry documents detailing the very patterns of offending he had denied. When in doubt, just deny, right? Wow. London has fallen. Khan read those files yet continued to deny the existence of grooming gangs in the public. Overall, the Labour Party did not just fail to prosecute the gangs. In some cases, its own members were the abusers. My God. And we heard about that with the police officers as well. Abusers, and in most cases, it's counselors, leaders, and ministers, put loyalty to Pakistani Muslim blocks of voting before child safety. No other political party has such a well-documented track record of direct involvement, with the institutional protection of industrial-scale child rape. This was in large part due to Labour's own electoral self-interest. Wow. The Conservative Party, when holding national power from 2010 onwards, failed to impose mandatory ethnicity recording for CS, that's Child Protective Services over there, offenders, and failed to launch a nationwide statutory inquiry despite the scale becoming public through the Rothman J report and other local revelations. Successive conservative-led governments allowed the same local cover-ups to continue unchecked in a non-labor areas and did nothing to focus data transparency or protect children outside labor strongholds. Do you guys think that their conservative party is the same as how we perceive the conservative party here in America? The national political environment under conservative administrations permitted the gangs to operate for other decades without systematic distribution. A proud Islamic, the former conservative minister Roy Stewart is a standout example of the malice within the party. Stewart once stated on his podcast with Alistair Campbell, "The Rest is Politics," that the grooming gang phenomena is no more than a small-scale blight, largely confined to the north of England. At the very least, this downplays the national pattern documented in witnesses' statements from towns and cities across the country, and reinforced. My arm is like, I gotta get my arm is like, what is happening? Statements from town to town across the country and reinforced the political reluctance to confront the full scale. Sammy Woodhouse, which I just went and subscribed to her channel, by the way. She is one of the victims, and she's been an outspoken advocate. They've gone after her as much as they can, but I think now that she's helped write this report, I think they can't be going after her hardcore. Met David Cameron as early as 2015 and told him everything she knew, up to and including the fact that many child victims were still being criminalized. A number of prominent figures within the Conservative Party has become more vocal about the grape gangs phenomena amid the issues rising politically. Even so, Conservative Prime Minister from David Cameron and Rishi Sunak did very little in government. Wow. Scottish politics. John Lamont MP's evidence to our inquiry shows that the same reluctance operated north of the England border. Successive Scottish governments across parties, but with clear Labour influence in earlier periods, refused to commission and dedicate national inquiry into grooming gangs, failed to introduce specific child protective markers, and fell short of routinely recording the ethnicity of the offenders. This data gap prevented the development of any proper national picture and enabled grape gang networks to continue unchecked in both urban and rural Scotland. This is happening in America with statistics just on crime in itself, that they are literally putting minorities down as white. If you don't believe me, go research it. We don't have time to do that in today's show, but again, use your own critical thinking and go look it up. That's what they've been doing. So they can skew the crime statistics and go, look, white people do it more. Pregnancy, abortion, and children born of grape. Gangs deliberately used pregnancy as a tool to control girls as young as 4. Were raped repeatedly, some until they became pregnant. Perpetrators then exploited the pregnancy to bind the victims to them, prevent escape, or escort ongoing coercion. Victims endured multiple pregnancies while still children themselves. Some miscarried under the physical and emotional trauma. Others were coerced into abortions. Those who carried to term gave birth as children were left without support, education, and protection. Many of these victims had themselves been born of grape to mothers who suffered identical exploitation. Wow. Wow. What? Many of these victims had themselves been born of grape to mothers who suffered identical exploitation. Wow. The state would often remove the babies for adoption or replace them into the same failing care system while leaving the young mothers in the environments where the abuse continued. So nobody was questioning all of these children. who are being put up for adoption, there's got to be a paper trail for that, right? There's got to be a paper trail of that. Wow. Intergenerational trauma became institutionalized. Wow. Abortions were sometimes arranged by the perpetrators or their associates, often in backstreet conditions that caused lasting physical damage. Medical services recorded the pregnancies and injuries, but discharged the girls back to the abusers without safeguarding or any long-term support. Social services and the NHS treated the pregnancies as isolated medical events rather than evidence of organized child rape. Now, wouldn't you think that if a 12, 13, 14-year-old girl came in and was having a baby, why would it not be investigated? On a pretty massive scale. Why would this not be investigated? Well, is it your boyfriend? Was it your dad? Was it your uncle? Was it your cousin? Who did this to you? Who did this to you so we can protect you? We can further protect you in the future. Oh my gosh. The state served the material bomb while failing to break the cycle of abuse. Other babies remained with mothers who were themselves still children, producing intimate harm, typically involving a disruptive education, substance abuse, substance addiction, mental collapse, and repeated contact with the criminal justice system. Victims who had been born of rape to earlier victims described the same patterns of repeated across generations. My God. Every statutory agency encountered these pregnancies. Hospitals and sexual health clinics recorded genital injuries, STIs, and pregnancies in 11 to 16-year-olds, but made no protection referrals. Mental health services discharged girls after off-yourself attempts linked to the pregnancies without trauma care. Social services closed cases and returned the young mothers to risk environments. Police failed to investigate the rapes that caused the pregnancy in the first place, even when the perpetrators were named and unknown. Licensing authorities allowed the taxis that transported pregnant girls to continue to operate. The family law courts made matters worse for victims across the board, often by awarding rapists parental rights over the very children begotten by their heinous crimes. In some cases, such rapists have even been allowed to apply for a contact order to meet their grandchildren. Impact of survivors. The grape gangs destroyed the lives of hundreds of thousands of children. Survivors live with permanent physical and psychological damage that no institution has ever properly addressed. They carry lifelong PTSD, complex trauma, addiction, chronic pain, interrupted education, criminal records, lost children, and live with permanent fear. Many attempted off themselves, and sadly some succeeded. Others lost their own children to the same system that failed them. The state did not merely fail to protect these survivors, but it compounded the harm by criminalizing them, discharging them from hospitals without support, removing their babies and leaving them in environments where the abuse could continue. The evidence shows a national pattern of lifelong devastation inflicting on children who were raped, trafficked, impregnated, and then abandoned by every agency meant to help them. Fiona, now remember we did read about Fiona, was raped repeatedly from the age 13 while in care. She became pregnant at 15 and her child was removed for adoption while she remained in the same exploitative environment. Due to her abuse, she developed psychosis at 17 and mutilated her own legs with a blade because the gangs had complimented them during her abuse. She now lives with profound PTSD, substantially substance dependency, and long-term physical health complications due to her abuse. Oh, Lord. Lord, Lord, Lord. We need to pray for every one of these victims. Michelle suffered near daily rape by age 13, became pregnant 4 times as a child, endured miscarriages and coerced abortions, and gave birth while still a teenager. She describes her childhood and future as destroyed, and she lives with PTSD that affects every day of her life. Chloe was raped repeatedly from age 11, contracted multiple STIs as a 13-year-old. Starved to 5 stone, drugged with heroin, imprisoned in her own home, and publicly humiliated. She now carries severe gynecological damage and lifelong trauma. Lena was abused from infancy. Wow. Trafficked, subjected to extreme violence, including perpetration by object strangulation and backstreet abortions. Again, guys, I know we're going to do a whole show. I'll go back to the victim's statements. We're going to do that. She lives with profound physical injuries and a total lack of trust in every institution. Could you blame her? Grace was groomed from early adolescence, raped while intoxicated, entered violent domestic relations, and watched her own children abused. She suffers severe mental illness, displacement, and ongoing stalking. Kate endured a decade of trafficking, filmed blackmail, red rooms of torture, animal rape, and witnesses murders of other girls. She received NRM conclusion grounds, but despite this has received very little support and lives with trauma that has to manage daily. Let me see what page is this on, because this is going over... That's on page 153. I'm going to write that down, and we can come back to page 153, because I think we need to, I need to read, because a lot of these names, I haven't read the testimony of them yet. That's 153. We're going to have to go back to that. Okay. This is the conclusion. The evidence from high-profile convictions and compiled data on group-based child sexual exploitation indicates a clear overrepresentation of Pakistani Muslim men as members of the rape gangs. However, when examining the religious dimensions often inferred from the publisher's names in court records and reliable reporting, the proportion of Muslim perpetrators appears even higher than the ethnic Pakistani figure alone would suggest. Analyzing of convictions lists, such as those compiled by researchers reviewing cases from the late 1990s onwards, have found that approximately 90% of those convicted in relevant grooming gang cases bore distinctively Muslim names, a stark contrast to the roughly 6% Muslim proportion of the overall population. That's insane. This pattern arises because nearly all documented Pakistani perpetrators in their cases have Muslim names, and additional convictions have involved Muslim men from other backgrounds: Somalia, Iran, Syria, Turkish, and mixed groups with predominantly Islamic names. Non-Muslim participants remain exceptions, often isolated incidents in smaller or mixed groups. Yeah, because there's going to be some of this kind of stuff, but this is overwhelmingly Pakistani Muslims. These reoccurring observations drawn from judicial outcomes, inquiries, and other public records established a basis for advocating improved official data collection on the religion of perpetrators in group-based, child exploitation cases. I guarantee you, if any of these were Christians, you would never hear the end of it if they claim to be Christians. I mean, how long did we hear about the pedophilia scandal in the Catholic Church? And now I think a lot of them want to paint all Christians as Catholics, but there's not, guys. There's the Protestants. And there's Eastern Orthodox, and you have Orthodox Catholics. There's all subgroups, but Protestants make up the bulk because Protestants go strictly by Holy Scripture, the Bible. Current national data frequently lacked robust recording of ethnicity, and religion is even less systematically captured, limiting evidence-based analysis and responses. Enhanced mandatory recording of both ethnicity and religion alongside other characteristics for suspects and convicted offenders in these offenses would enable clearer identification of patterns, better informed prevention strategies, and more proportionate policy interventions. While addressing long-standing criticism of data inadequacies highlight in government reviews and reports, the evidence heard by the inquiry is unequivocal and overwhelmingly and devastating in its clarity. Organized networks of Muslim men systematically raped, trafficked, drugged, impregnated, and destroyed the lives of thousands upon thousands of British children across every region of the United Kingdom for decades. When the documented patterns from Rothdale, Telfield, Rochdale, Oxford, Newcastle, Oldham, Haddonfield, Petersburg, Berlin, Tameside, and dozens of other towns and cities are extrapolated nationally. Wow. The scale reaches at least 250,000 victims. This is not a collection of isolated local scandals. Extrapolated. Wow. It is a national scourge of industrial scale. Yeah, they made a business out of it, guys. We heard in a lot of the stories that they were selling these girls to their buddies. Child rape and modern-day slavery enabled, protected, and prolonged by the deliberate failures of the British state at every single letter. It's heartbreaking. It's disgusting. Excuse me, I had to pause to cough. The testimony of survivors and their families leaves no room for denial or equivocation. Sally watched her daughter's life unravel. Although her daughter has admitted to lying on occasions, the police privately acknowledged grooming, yet in public communications treated her only as a liar. Marlon had his parental authority stripped away so that his daughter could be returned to the very place where she had been raped. Whitney's reports of exploitation were dismissed while her own childhood trauma was used to undermine her credibility as a mother. Rachel saw her 12-year-old autistic daughter discouraged from pursuing justice, bullied relentlessly, my God, and ultimately driven to her death by an overdose after the authorities failed her at every turn. Fiona, Michelle, Chloe, Marie, Grace, Kate, Anna, Jean, Lennon, Taylor, Jane, Lily, and so many others describe the same relentless pattern: repeated gang rape, blackmail with filmed abuse, pregnancies used as weapons of control, miscarriages, coerced abortions, and the birth of children who entered the world already condemned to the same cycle. They were not all vulnerable children in the narrow sense of authorities preferred to believe. Some came from stable homes, middle-class families, and loving parents. The perpetrators targeted them precisely because they were unguarded by collective male protection that some minority communities could mobilize. The gangs operated under an honor and shame-based clan code that treated non-Muslims, especially white working-class girls, as property available for use. They transported victims between towns and shared them among brothers and friends, forced conversions to Islam followed by unregistered religious marriages, and justified the abuse by describing the girls as easy meat, white trash, or morally inferior. Morally inferior. The same network targeted psych girls until psych communities responded with collective male protection, while girls received no such defense in other areas. Every institution that existed to protect children instead of enabling the gangs, police forces across England and Scotland discouraged reporting, criminalized victims, destroyed evidence, allowed known rapists to walk free on bail, and in some cases actively participated in and shielded the networks. Social care removed parental authority, placed children in trafficking hubs inside children's homes and semi-independent units, closed cases despite clear evidence of exploitation, destroyed records and retaliated against the whistleblowers. The NHS recorded genital injuries, multiple STIs, and 13-year-olds' pregnancies caused by rape and suicide attempts, yet discharged the child back to their abusers the same night with no safeguard or trauma care. My God. Schools watched older men collect girls at the gates, heard disclosures of rape in toilets, and excluded the victims rather than protecting them. Taxi licensing authorities renewed permits for the very drivers who form the logistic backbone of the trafficking networks and collapsed in the face of organized protests when basic safety measures were proposed. The media self-censored the ethnic and religious pattern for fear of being labeled racist. Social media platforms became the primary tools for initial grooming, disruptions of rape videos, and coordinating between perpetrators. Politics, especially the Labour Party, bears the heaviest responsibility. Counselors and MPs sat on the very authorities that covered up the abuse. They were briefed as early as 2003 through the Crop multi-agency group, yet later denied knowledge. When finally forced to act, the Labour government produced a national inquiry whose terms of reference are so tightly drawn, limited to group-based child exploitation and a handful of relevant local areas, time-limited and deliberately excluding any systematic examination of the demographics, culture, and religious drivers that it cannot possibly confront. The truth that this inquiry has heard Labour did not merely fail to protect children, it actively obstructed justice, suppressed ethnicity data, voted against a proper national inquiry, and sacrificed tens of thousands of white working class girls on the altar of multiculturalism and electoral arithmetic. Lord, I can't even read. Electoral arithmetic. The Conservative Party, while in national government from 2010 onwards, also failed. It did not impose mandatory ethnicity recording, nor did it launch a nationwide statutory inquiry, despite the Rotham J report and other revelations. Roy Stewart, a former Conservative minister, publicly described the issue as a small problem, confined to the north of England. He downplayed the national reality and thus showed the attitude of it, at the very least, a section of the party. Scottish police mirrored the same reluctance, refusing a dedicated inquiry and failing to record offending ethnicity. Where is William Wallace when we need him? The human cost is incalculable and permanent. Survivors carry lifelong PTSD, complex trauma, addictions, chronic physical pain, interrupted education, criminal records, lost children, unrelating fear. Many have attempted off themselves repeatedly and some succeeded. Others lost their own children to the same failing system that failed them. The gangs used pregnancy as a deliberate weapon of control, and the state compounded the harm by removing babies for adoption or replacing them in care while abandoning the young mothers in the environments where the abuse continued. Wow. These people need to be charged with crimes against humanity. Intergenerational trauma. Intergenerational trauma has been institutionalized. The state recorded this injury, the STIs, the pregnancies, and disclosures, yet chose votes, so-called community relations, in fear of the racism accusations over their protection of British children. Whistleblowers who tried to expose the truth, such as social workers, Kevin Vines, Tommy Robertson, and countless protected parents, were suspended, bankrupt, subject to dawn raids, assets freezing, gag orders. The rule of law failed. Racial religious aggravation was almost never applied to the few that were convicted. Foreign national offenders were rarely deported. Wow. And sentences bore no relation to the lifetime destruction inflicted. The inquiry has heard the testimony. It has seen the documents. It has recorded the names of officials, social workers, counselors, ministers. Whoa. Institutions that failed. Wow. What? Has heard the testimony, and it has seen the documents as recorded the names of officers, social workers, counselors, and name names, baby. Name them names. Failed. The evidence is now overwhelming and irrefutable. The grape gangs did not operate in the shadows, but with the active and passive consent of the British state. The betrayal was total. Recommendations. We're going to stop at page 159. I've got it written down in my notes. We're still going to go back to, I think we'll go back to the page 153 with the victims. It was a summary. But I didn't want to read more of that because I want to read with y'all. Because I skipped over all the victims' statements yet because I just want to do one full show of that. Probably at the end because I think it is just going to be so impactful that I want it to be like the finale. That boom, and we're going to read it, and I know it's going to be bad, and it's going to be heartbreaking. I just know it is. I just know that it is. We're going to hit a couple of things real quick. We got Brandon Gill. I really love him. Calling you a racist has always been a tool that the left uses to shut down debate. They can't tell us why importing millions of people from cultures incapable with our own is a good thing for America. They just call you a racist and hope you'll shut up. Well, I never will. Wow. They can't tell us why importing millions of people from cultures incapable with our own. They can't tell us why is this a good thing for America when they make their own enclaves. It's like they just keep their own country where they are. I mean, like they bring their own ideology, their own culture, and then they stick together. They're not even learning how to speak English. It's insane. No, diversity is not what we need. Diversity is a problem.
And when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife, Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad.
Now, here he is, whining and crying. What does Rupert Paul say? He says, Starmer has played a large part in the destruction of our nation. He says, I have no sympathy for him at all. So he says the most important thing he needs to go do is he needs to go spend time with his wife. Wouldn't you think the most important thing he should have done is find justice for these children? And then stop it from now? Because I guarantee you it's still going on. We're going to wrap it up with this post. In Eldebrock, Scotland. What happened? A Muslim migrant stabbed multiple innocent white people and tried to enter a nearby nursery to attack children. He ransacked the shop and then was arrested after a 7-hour standoff with police where he hung out a window laughing. Let's see. Funny, all of the people enraged about the white Scottish man losing his crap yesterday after hundreds of thousands of millions of white girls were tortured, raped, and killed by Muslims were completely silent on this incident in March of this year. So this just happened. This just happened March of this year. This happens. Are they investigating it? Was it racially motivated? What was the problem? No. But some guy loses his crap, stabs 5 people. But what does he say while he's getting arrested? We've had enough. The government, everybody, the Muslims, they're killing our children. I'm not saying he should have done that, guys, but it's drove him to that. They also stayed silent on the Muslim grooming gangs that they called them propaganda. They are anti-white and only care if the victims are non-white. Selective outrage, hypocrisy, and double standards. They don't care about your lives only when it affects their tribal group. We cannot coexist with people that do not value lives. And That's true. That's true, because in the Quran it says that and it's been a theme throughout the victims that they were told that you are low, and even in their Quran and Hadith, you are lower than them. You are lower than them. You are the crap on their shoe. That's what you are. I mean, and this is how I was thinking about it, because when this came out, I was thinking to myself that this guy here that just happened in Eldebrock, that, you know, maybe he's got some mental problems too, but he's outraged, and he has every right to be outraged, but he's going about it the wrong way. But then you have here on your right, ladies and gentlemen, look at this face. Stabbing, shooting, terrorism, children murdered, Jews attacked, knives, poison, terror manuals. This is a mental health problem. He had a mental health issue isolated. But this guy, racism doesn't belong in this country. He's a terrorist. But this guy's not racist and did all of that? Are we tired of being gaslighted, people? Aren't we tired of being gaslit by the left? Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. Wow. We're going to wrap this up. We'll start back up tomorrow. We're going to pick it back up on page 159. So we're almost done. We're almost finished with the report. So I think maybe 2 or 3 more shows. I'm not sure. But we're going to get it all out. I did make a playlist. You're welcome to go look at the Grooming Gang playlist in the playlist section. Thank you for joining me. If you made it to the end of the show, God is your Lord and Savior. Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. Seek Him out for your salvation, and always use your own critical thinking. Research this stuff. Don't just listen to one point of view. Use critical thinking. Investigate. See what's happening. See what's happening. Elon Musk retweeted this guy. I think I have it in the stack of stuff. We'll put it on another show. But he was a left-wing goofball. And he jumped on the bandwagon of glorifying the fact that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And then he makes a video. And he says, you know what? He bought into the lie because, like, I'm paraphrasing, but like he's basically in an echo chamber. So then he goes and I haven't watched the whole video yet. This is just my assumption on reading the title and things like that. That he goes and then he goes and starts researching Charlie Kirk. And then he realizes Charlie Kirk is not the racist, the sexist, the bigot, the homophobe that everyone said he was. He was a godly Christian man that just wanted peace and wanted to bring people to Christ. So yeah, it's insane. It's crazy. That's amazing, though. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. So you could be like that guy. You could be like that guy. Where you need to go and find the truth for yourself. Don't just get caught up in an echo chamber of one particular point of view. Like, well, why are they attacking this person over here? What, don't you want to find out? Why are they attacking Donald Trump? Well, because Donald Trump wants to stop them from having voter blocks, like what's happening in the UK. Like the Labour Party, the Conservative Party, all of them failed because they didn't want to be considered racist, that they wanted to keep this voting block, so to keep them in power. Keep giving them social services to keep them in power. That's basically what's happening here in some areas. All of these blue states who fight tooth and nail to keep Trump's Border Patrol out, to get illegals out. Be damned that the guy is a criminal. And what did the judges do that were appointed by Biden, Clinton, or Obama? These judges, these people come into their courts, guess what they do? They let them back out. They don't call ICE. They don't call Border Patrol. They don't say, hey, man, we got this guy. He's committing these crimes, and he's illegal. Please come get him. That would be the logical thing to do. Nope. You need to come back in about 6 months for a hearing on this. Bro never shows back up. How many times have we heard this? And then he goes and commits another crime. He comes back. I said, well, they let him back out again. It's insane. These people need to be charged with crimes against humanity. I think, obviously, we need to get these judges out. They need to be impeached. Charged with crimes against humanity. You foreknew that this guy was illegal. He came into your court. You let him back out to come back on a bond hearing or some kind. Not even give him bond, and then maybe give him a little bit of bond, and then come back 6 months later. But in between that time, this guy's got a big criminal history. Plus, he's an illegal. Then you let him back out, and then he goes murders an innocent American citizen. It's insanity. And enough is enough. Don't let them gaslight you anymore saying that you're a racist because you're against this. This is common sense. And this is what we need to get back to. God bless you all and have a wonderful day until the next show, which we are going to be finishing the report. Thank you.